So apparently Jordan Seaton turned down a big bag of NIL cash from the Vols to commit to Colorado. Can you give us a little bit more background on Caleb? Because I want to get Josh's take on this.
That was pretty much it. Pretty much sold it right there. Jordan Seaton was offered according to multiple reports, and as a matter of fact, WBIR reported this in Knoxville last week, and then SI.com for Colorado, for that covers Colorado, broke it that two days ago that multiple sources are saying that Jordan Seaton was offered a multi-million-dollar NIL bag to go to Tennessee and still turned it down to go to Colorado. And so people have been thinking that Colorado's getting everybody through the NIL. And I'm starting to wonder if just Deion's name is outweighing NIL money, which would shock me. I didn't think that would be the case, but maybe it is.
What's your take on that, Josh?
Well, I think Deion was an obvious sell, the number one to Jordan Seaton to come be a part of what Coach Prime is building, not just with the football program. We'll see what kind of success they have. I think they'll be better next year than this year. I think they have a good chance to at least be a bowl team in 2024 with the move to the Big 12. But in terms of what he's getting at Colorado, I have no idea. He's not going there for free. I mean, let's be honest there. Just like Travis Hunter wasn't going to Jackson State for free. I don't know what he got, but he was taken care of, I'm sure, and then ends up making the move to Colorado. Jordan Seaton was able to make his announcement on Undisputed on FS1. I'm sure that's part of the sale of, hey, we're gonna build some attention around you. We're gonna build a brand for you. I use that word because that's a word that Trey Smith used when he announced his commitment to Tennessee, that they were going to help build his branding. What is that immediately in dollar figures? I don't know, but I'm confident that Undisputed would not have had Jordan Seaton on if he was announcing a commitment to Tennessee or even Alabama or Ohio State. I think it's pretty easy to figure out that Deion Sanders has connections to former NFL players with FS1 and with that show, and that's why Seaton was on there. So I'm sure the dollar figure was enough, and that there can maybe be more to come his way. But the building of the brand and the attention around Jordan Seaton was an alluring aspect to the recruitment.
Big days ahead for FS1 as they landed the broadcast rights for the Grand Prix recently. But Josh, back to Seaton. I believe this is spin. I believe there's a good chance that Colorado offered comparable money to Tennessee. And if you watch anything about Colorado, Deion's son is in charge of social media. I think this is spin. I think this is what was told to be put out there. I don't think there was a vast difference in money between Colorado and Tennessee. I just think that Deion Sanders knows how to spin it and get people like us talking about it.
So which direction are you talking? Like when people say there's a big difference, are they saying Colorado offered a ton more?
No, they're saying Tennessee offered a ton more and that Jordan Seaton turned down the NIL bag that Tennessee was offering to go play for Deion at Colorado.
That's the spin.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure he's getting a ton of money to go to Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like.
I said I don't know how much. I don't know what the difference is. So it for sure could be less. I don't know, but I think a lot of times in these cases, NIL one way or the other is used as spin if you don't get a guy, or if you're trying to sell it of, hey, look at us, look at how much better we are. Maybe you spin it, but. Before the days of NIL, before this became allowed for players to profit off their name, image, and likeness, players are getting paid to go to college. Okay, it wasn't being talked about publicly. I still think it's weird that dollar figures get attached to these deals, but we know that they can make money, so it's going to happen. It's inevitable. But players are getting money before, and I think a lot of times they would kind of have a price tag of, okay, I need this amount. I need at least this amount. And sometimes it might be a school that they don't want to go to as much. It'd really be like 2 or 3. So the price tag for that school might be a little bit higher. But I think then and now, a lot of it is either matching or being in the same ballpark of what players are going to get. And then it comes down to where do they want to go. So I don't think money is often going to be an issue for Tennessee. There's budgeting, so you can't just go give everything to everybody. But I think a lot of times a player tells another school, okay, well, this is what school X is going to give me. can you do that or close to it school Y? And school Y either can or can't. And if they can, it comes back to somewhat traditional recruiting.
Wait, players got paid before NIL? Josh, did you just say that?
I know it's surprising to hear, but
That's hot.
I do think it might have happened at one or two or every major school before 2021.
Did it ever happen at Tennessee, Peyton Manning?
They're like, that is total bullshit.
What was it? A grand A&M? It's a grand discussion today. Was it a grand A&M for Eric Dickerson? And then he's on the 30 for 30. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
which is
where
perfect.
he took the car. That was the boldest move ever. A&M offers him the car. He takes the car, and then he's like, "I'm going to commit to SMU, and A&M can't take this car back from me. What are they going to do? They already bought it for me." And that was beautiful.
I always wanted the Grand Prix or Grand something else.
But
Josh,
guys, we're still looking at it. Just to say, we're looking at this a bit backwards. What I'm saying is, it sounds like Tennessee offered a significantly more amount of NIL money, and Seaton still turned Tennessee down for Colorado. So I'm saying,
I don't
is this
believe
humiliating
that
for Tennessee?
but I don't believe that. I don't believe the numbers were that different. I think this is spin. And I think that Tennessee, how many schools, unless they say that Seaton was their key, but I want to ask you this, Josh, how many schools, and Caleb, you too, how many schools out there can stand toe-to-toe with the Spire Group now that we're in basically, a year two, essentially, of them being full-fledged, going on for a full calendar or fiscal year, if you want to call it that. I mean, they're still number one on the on-3 list. How many schools can truly compete with Tennessee when it comes to divvying out NIL dollars?
Well, I would be guessing if I tried to come up with a number, but I think most of the big time players can kind of go toe to toe. If we're just talking about can they come up with the funds, like Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon, these schools that we talked about with Jordan Seaton before Colorado pulled off the surprise get. Those schools aren't going to be outdone. I think a program like South Carolina is in real trouble. It might be able, it just went and got Rocket Sanders. I'm sure he's not going to be playing for free next season. But can South Carolina compete with Tennessee in the NIL world? I'd be really surprised. But Spire doesn't have unlimited funds, just like Ohio State and Alabama and Oregon don't have unlimited numbers. I think they look at it like, hey, we're not going to be outbid, but each school can only bring in so many players, and they're working with some kind of budget where you have to manage what you're going to spend on current players, because year to year guys can play better and their value goes up. I think an obvious player for Tennessee would be James Pierce. A year ago, we didn't know what kind of role he would play. Then he breaks out and he's one of the best edge guys in the league. He's more valuable in 2024. So you have to make those kinds of decisions on top of what you can do in the transfer portal and what you can do with recruiting. But think about somebody who's out there who I think it's pretty obvious will get some money is Juice Wells. Well, I don't think we've heard Alabama with him. Alabama could use some help at wide receiver, but they've probably looked at, okay, we got to put some funding elsewhere. So they're not in play. So this is a long way of saying I think Tennessee can go toe-to-toe when it comes to a budget and how much it can spend with just about everybody. But I think most of these major programs, Texas A&M, Alabama, Ohio State, Tennessee included, are in similar positions in what they can offer. And some players, they will say it's worth it, and they'll do what it takes to get him. And other players will say, doesn't fit with what our roster is, what our needs are.
I think it's about the top 12 to 15 could stand toe-to-toe with each other and say, I can match your money. That's just a ballpark number that I'm throwing out there.
And all these schools, they also have players who probably think they're worth more, and they'll go to their school and say, "Hey, I or collective or whatever," and say, "I need a little bit more," and the school will make the decision of, "Can't do it, sorry," and then it's up to that player to decide, well, do I want to stay, or do I want to look out there and see what my market is? Can I get more elsewhere?